So let's talk about something really interesting today, something that gets to the heart of who these characters are. I'm talking about the Dungeons & Dragons alignment chart. Now, for those of you who might not know, this is a classic system for understanding a character's moral and ethical perspective. It's a 9-point grid. You have lawful, neutral, and chaotic on one axis, and good, neutral, and evil on the other. It's a fantastic framework, a really insightful tool for breaking down why characters do what they do. Are they driven by a strict code, or do they follow their own whims? Do they act for the greater good, or for purely selfish reasons? This chart gives us a language to explore all of that. Today, we're going to apply this fascinating system to one of my favorite teams in all of comics, the Birds of Prey. We're going to place each key member, and some of their most notable adversaries, onto this alignment chart. This isn't just a fun exercise, though. I think it gives us a really fresh perspective on the team's internal dynamics, their conflicts, and what truly makes them tick. By understanding their core alignments, we can see why they clash, why they connect, and how they manage to function as this incredibly effective, if often dysfunctional, family of vigilantes. It's a deep dive into their very souls. And to make this the ultimate alignment chart, we're not just sticking to one version of the team. No, we're pulling from everything. We'll be looking at their iconic comic book runs, of course, from Chuck Dixon to Gail Simone and beyond. We'll also be drawing from the fantastic 2020 film Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, which gave us a whole new flavor of these characters. We'll even touch on their animated appearances and other related media. This is a comprehensive look, a definitive take, so get comfortable because we're about to dissect the moral compass of Gotham's most formidable female force. Let's get into it. So, let's start with the absolute moral center of the team, the character who often serves as its beating heart and its conscience. Dinah Lance, the Black Canary. In my opinion, she is the quintessential lawful good character in this universe. Lawful good doesn't mean you're a stick in the mud or that you blindly follow orders. No, it means you have a deeply ingrained personal code of ethics, a set of rules you live by because you believe they lead to the best, most just outcome for everyone. Dinah embodies this completely. She believes in justice, in protecting the innocent, and in doing things the right way whenever possible. She's the one who holds the team together, who pushes them to be better than their worst impulses. You see this in her history, from her time with the Justice League of America to her leadership of the Birds of Prey. She has a structure, a method. She trains, she plans, she tries to de-escalate before resorting to her canary cry. But when she does have to fight, it's always in the service of a higher ideal, a greater good. She's not just punching bad guys for the thrill of it. She is fighting to create a safer world, guided by her strong moral compass. Even when the law itself is corrupt, Dinah follows her own internal law, her unwavering commitment to justice and compassion. She is the rock, the stabilizing force that keeps the often chaotic team from flying apart. Now, moving over to neutral good, we have the founder, the brain, the one who started it all, Barbara Gordon as Oracle. This is such a perfect fit for her. Neutral good characters are driven by a desire to do good and help others, but they aren't bound by the constraints of law or tradition. Their primary goal is altruism, and they'll use whatever means are necessary to achieve it. This is Barbara to a T. After being paralyzed by the Joker, she didn't retreat, she evolved. She became Oracle, a master hacker and information broker who operates in the gray areas of the digital world. She has no problem breaking laws, hacking into secure government or corporate servers, if it means saving a life or stopping a catastrophe. Her focus is purely on the outcome. Does this action help people? Does it stop the bad guys? If the answer is yes, then the methods are justified. She's not chaotic. Her operations are incredibly meticulous and planned. But she's certainly not lawful. Her entire existence as Oracle is technically illegal. She represents the ultimate pragmatist in the service of good. She sees the system, understands its flaws, and works outside of it to achieve what the system itself cannot. She doesn't have Dinah's need for a strict personal code, but her dedication to helping others is just as fierce. Oracle is the definition of doing what needs to be done for the right reasons, no matter the rules. Alright, let's get a little wild with our next pick. The perfect embodiment of chaotic good Zinda Blake, the one and only Lady Blackhawk. Now, chaotic good characters are the ultimate free spirits. They are guided by their own conscience, their own sense of right and wrong, and they have a deep-seated distrust of authority and rules. They believe in goodness and righteousness, but they think institutions and laws are just obstacles to getting things done. Zinda Blake, a time-displaced pilot from the 1940s, lives and breathes this philosophy. She is impulsive, she is loud, she loves a good drink and a good fight, and she follows her gut instincts above all else. She's here for a good time to save the day. You see it in every mission she's on. While Oracle is planning and Black Canary is strategizing, Zinda is the one who's likely to just kick down the door and start shooting, trusting her skills and her heart to see her through. She has zero patience for bureaucracy or red tape. Her moral compass points firmly toward protecting her friends and helping the downtrodden, but her methods are unpredictable and often explosive. She's a hero, through and through, but she's a hero on her own terms. Her adventurous, rebellious spirit makes her the wild card of the team, the one who brings an element of joyful, righteous chaos to every situation. Now, for a very interesting and complex character, and one I think fits perfectly into the lawful neutral slot, Renee Montoya. Lawful neutral characters are defined by their commitment to a code. This code can be a legal system, a personal honor code, or a set of traditions. For them, order and organization are paramount. They aren't necessarily driven by a desire to do good like a lawful good character, but by a powerful belief in their code. This is Renee Montoya, especially in her days as a detective with the Gotham City Police Department. She believed in the law. She believed in the system, even when it was corrupt and failing around her. Her driving force was truth and justice as defined by that system. She wasn't out there to be a feel-good hero. She was there to do her job, to follow the evidence, and to uphold the law. This often put her at odds with vigilantes like Batman, and even with her future teammates in the Birds of Prey. She saw them as breaking the very rules she dedicated her life to upholding. Even later, when she inherits the mantle of the Question, she is still driven by a code, the pursuit of truth, of answers, of a larger order behind the chaos. Her focus is less on morality and more on discipline, honor, and adherence to the code that defines her. Let's get to the center of the chart with True Neutral, and the character who I believe best represents this alignment's profound ambiguity, Cassandra Cain. True Neutral is often called the undecided alignment, but it's more complex than that. A true neutral character might be committed to balance, or they might simply lack a conviction or preference for good over evil, or law over chaos. In Cassandra's case, it stems from her upbringing. Raised by assassins, denied language, and trained to be the world's deadliest killer, her moral framework was completely shattered before it could even form. Her actions are often a fascinating balance between the brutal instincts she was taught and the altruistic morality she learns from the Bat family. She is a creature of immense potential for both good and evil, and she often seems to be walking a tightrope between them. One moment she might act with selfless heroism to protect an innocent, and the next she might use a level of violence that shocks her allies. Her primary motivation for much of her story is self-discovery, and finding her place in a world she barely understands. She's not driven by a code or by pure self-interest, she's driven by a need to become a whole person. This puts her squarely in the middle of the alignment chart. She is the ultimate blank slate, defined not by a preset morality, but by the choices she makes in each moment, making her one of the most compelling and truly neutral characters in Gotham. Oh, here we go. It's time for the character everyone has been waiting for. The absolute, undeniable poster child for chaotic neutral Dr. Harley Quinn, the one and only Harley Quinn. If you look up chaotic neutral in the dictionary, you should just see a picture of her. This alignment is all about freedom. Freedom from society's rules, freedom from the expectations of others, freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. A chaotic neutral character is the ultimate individualist, and their moral compass doesn't point north or south, it just spins wildly. This is Harley Quinn's entire post-Joker emancipation arc in a nutshell. She is completely unpredictable. One day she might save an entire city block from a natural disaster, and the next she'll rob a bank just for the fun of it. Her allegiances are fleeting and based entirely on her whims and who is treating her well at that particular moment. She's not evil, she has a line somewhere, and she genuinely cares about certain people like Poison Ivy and animals. But she is absolutely not good. Her primary motivation is her own amusement, her own survival, and her own liberation. She is a force of nature, an agent of pure, unadulterated chaos. And that's why we love her. She shatters the entire good versus evil dichotomy, and just has a blast doing it. Now let's cross over to the dark side, but let's start with a villain who has a very specific, rigid worldview. Poison Ivy, who I am placing firmly in Lawful Evil. Now this might surprise some people who see her as a chaotic nature spirit, but hear me out. A lawful evil character operates within a strict personal code, a set of laws they have created for themselves, and they use this structure to achieve their malevolent goals. They are methodical, organized, and believe in their own twisted version of order. This is Pamela Isley. Her goal is the preservation and supremacy of the green, the world's plant life. And to her, humanity is a disease that must be controlled or eradicated for the good of the planet. This isn't random, senseless destruction, it's a calculated ideological crusade. She has a philosophy, a doctrine that she follows with religious zeal. She believes her cause is righteous, and she will systematically and ruthlessly eliminate anyone or anything that stands in the way of her vision for a new world order, a green world order. She creates minions, she builds elaborate labs, she executes long-term plans. This is the behavior of a lawful villain, not a chaotic one. She is a tyrant, a zealot with a code, willing to commit atrocities not for personal gain or amusement, but in the service of her own dark, structured ideology. For neutral evil, we need a character who is purely pragmatically selfish. A character who isn't bound by laws but also isn't dedicated to chaos. They will do whatever they can get away with to advance their own interests. And for this slot, I think there's a great example associated with the Birds of Prey Savant. Brian Derlin is a genius, a brilliant computer expert and strategist, but he lacks any semblance of a moral compass. His primary motivation is himself. He'll work with heroes, he'll work with villains, it makes no difference to him. The only question he asks is, what's in it for me? He's the ultimate opportunist. This is the essence of neutral evil. It's evil in its most mundane and in some ways most realistic form. It's not about grand ideologies or a love of destruction, it's about pure, unadulterated self-interest. Savant has no loyalty to any code or any cause beyond his own enrichment and survival. In his appearances with the Birds of Prey and later the Suicide Squad, you see this time and time again. He will betray anyone, abandon any mission, if he thinks it will benefit him. He represents a malignancy born of apathy and greed, a villainy that doesn't need a grand plan because its only goal is to serve itself, making him a dangerously unpredictable and untrustworthy figure. Finally, we arrive at the bottom right of our chart, the embodiment of destructive, unpredictable malevolence, chaotic evil. And who better to represent this alignment in the Birds of Prey's world than Roman Sionis, the terrifying Black Mask. Chaotic evil characters are not just evil, they are forces of entropy. They delight in pain, destruction, and suffering for its own sake. They have no code, no long-term plans beyond sowing chaos and feeding their own sadistic whims. This is Black Mask to his very core. He isn't trying to build a new world order like a lawful evil villain. He's trying to burn this one to the ground and laugh while it turns to ash. His cruelty is his defining characteristic. Whether it's the gruesome mask carved from his father's coffin or his penchant for torture and psychological warfare, everything he does is designed to inflict maximum pain and fear. He is erratic, explosive, and utterly without honor. His criminal empire is built not on structure but on pure terror. He rules by fear, and his actions are driven by his own twisted ego and his love of violence. He is the hurricane of the Gotham underworld, a destructive, hateful force that seeks only to harm, control, and destroy. There is no negotiating with him, no reasoning with him. He is evil for the sheer love of being evil. So, when you lay it all out on the alignment chart, what do you see? You see a beautiful, chaotic, and incredibly effective mosaic of morality. You have the lawful good heart in Black Canary, the neutral good brain in Oracle, and the chaotic good spirit in Lady Blackhawk. Right there in the good column alone, you have three totally different approaches to heroism. One relies on a code, one on pragmatic results, and one on pure instinct. This isn't a weakness, it's their single greatest strength. They cover each other's blind spots. Where one is too rigid, another is flexible. Where one is too reckless, another brings strategy and order. This diversity of alignment is what makes the Birds of Prey so resilient and so compelling to watch and read about. They are a team that shouldn't work on paper, a principled vigilante, a rule-breaking hacker, a hot-headed pilot, a conflicted detective. and sometimes a completely unhinged ex-villain, yet they do work. They form a found family, bound not by a shared methodology but by a shared purpose, however vaguely defined. They come together to protect the people that the more monolithic top-down hero teams like the Justice League often overlook. Their internal conflicts born from these different worldviews are just as interesting as their external ones. Ultimately, the Birds of Prey teach us that there isn't just one way to be a hero. Their strength comes from their differences, from their ability to argue and challenge each other, and in the end, come together to face down the absolute worst Gotham has to offer. From the sadistic chaos of Black Mask to the twisted ideology of Poison Ivy, the threats they face are complex, and it takes a team with a full spectrum of perspectives to stand against them. They are a testament to the idea that true strength lies in unity, not uniformity, and that's what makes them one of the best teams in all of comics.